Good morning and welcome everybody to Bitcoin Veterans. Very briefly, what is Bitcoin Veterans? It's a collaboration of a bunch of dudes that have got together voluntarily. It's a growing number of military, active duty, and veteran guys who are either already Bitcoiners or they're curious about Bitcoin, interested in learning more. I'm going to introduce this crew, and then we'll talk more about what this thing is, why we're doing it, what our plans are for the future. So down on the end, we've got Gabe Lord, prior United States Army, logistics, aviation, trainer, leader.
Good morning.
We've got Mr. Shane Hazel. Shane is a former Special Operations Force Recon Marine, general overall badass, scary dude. Mickey Koss, West Point, active duty U.S. Army officer, regular contributor to Forbes, talking about Bitcoin. Jordan Gambell, U.S. Army, former U.S. Army Special Forces officer, a.k.a. Green Berets, for those who don't know what that is. Also, shout out to Mike Hobart, who is not here, but is the original founding member of the Bitcoin Veterans podcast. All right, let's get rolling with how this thing started. Basically, me and Shane were talking for a long time about, man, we should get a bunch of veterans together. And we did it informally, started out on Twitter, got a bunch of guys in a group, started talking, and that thing kind of took on a life of its own and started accelerating, and it's gone a little berserk since then. It has turned into also the Bitcoin Veterans podcast, which we do every Wednesday night. Let's talk a little bit about why you guys are doing this. Let's start on the end. What is this all about for you? Why are you doing this, Gabe?
You're really going to start with Gabe? We're all going to follow. We're going to have to follow
screwed.
Gabe, for God's sakes.
I start out with a light version. How about that? I'll set
All
up
right,
a lot
Gabe
of softballs.
Light.
All right. So
Why are we doing this?
Why are we doing this? All right. So I think that we can all agree that the Bitcoin mission is the most important thing that's going on in the world right now. I mean, am I right about that? It's pretty damn important. So here's how it works. When I've discovered Bitcoin, finally, thankfully it was taught to me by my father. I was somewhat resistant to it because I thought it was just some weird internet money and somebody was going to scam a whole bunch of people and they were going to get rich and everybody else was going to lose all their stuff. So I kind of just was like, all right, Dad. My dad was telling me about it. He's a salty old Vietnam veteran, and I was like, okay, that sounds neat. That sounds interesting. And but he kept on telling me about it, and basically he had to hold me down and like pour Bitcoin in my ear, and then the lights finally came on, and I was like, oh man, there's something to this. So I started looking, and I started researching, and I started studying, and I started learning, and I realized pretty quickly that it's not just about money; it's about freedom. And so the next thing hit me. I've been working with veteran transition support programs since I got out about 11 years ago. And I quickly realized that this is a freaking mission. This is for real. And who better than to be on this mission than veterans? And so I started just blasting out all over LinkedIn, looking people up, finding people. I started finding these guys. I started connecting with them and getting plugged in, and realized that there are other veterans out there that are on this mission already. And so it just became apparent, it just became clear that the mission needs to be to bring as many veterans as we can onto the Bitcoin mission so we can accomplish it successfully. And that's why I'm here.
Awesome, thank you. Let's go with Mickey Koss. Mickey, why are we here? Why are you here? Why are you doing this?
Yeah, so I think like a lot of people probably got into Bitcoin out of, sort of a sense of financial nihilism, right? Like you think if you YOLO in, you can sort of fast forward your net worth, add a couple zeros really quick, and then cash out, But if you really dive in, you learn that you don't want the dollars anymore. You just want the Bitcoin. And so, I didn't join the Army because I was, exceptionally patriotic or anything like that. I joined it because I couldn't pay for college. right? I didn't want to be a debt slave for the rest of my life. And so, you know, it gave us a good life, but over the years, the pay raises never seemed to be quite enough, and we started really feeling the squeeze, and that's sort of when I found Bitcoin, right? And I think, the moniker "fix the money, fix the world" is something really powerful and apt, because it is the broken monetary system that drives people to sort of desperation, where they'll even get into Bitcoin in the first place, because if you think about it, it's kind of insane, right? We got this magic internet money and it's going to infinity, but it takes a lot of work. And so I don't know, I guess thank you to the fiat system for making me sort of nihilistic, and thank you to everyone here for teaching me and getting me out of that mindset, and just want to bring other people in. Our Uber driver here actually is a disabled veteran, right? So he got shipped off to Germany, spent 4 years in the Army, and then he got messed up. He got med boarded, and then the VA is not even really taking care of him, right? And so you got this young soldier who gets trained to do something very specific, which is not necessarily applicable to the civilian world, and then he gets hurt and they kick him out. And now he's driving Uber 10 years later, which is, he's working, he's got dignity, he's working hard, but at the same time, like, the monetary system is failing him. He can't save, He doesn't have time to research and become a professional investor on the side. And that's what Bitcoin is. It's a better way to save without getting debased.
All right, that was a very reasonable adult way of approaching Bitcoin. However, some of us are not quite so, how shall I say, level-headed, maybe, reasonable, logical. I'm not necessarily just
Alex?
talking about you. I was actually referring to myself and Shane and Jordan.
We all knew.
Sure, Alex, sure.
Jordan, why don't you tell us why you're here?
Let me give you the unreasonable, unlevel-headed version. Let me start everything off by saying one of the coolest things about Bitcoin is that it is a peaceful weapon or tool, or however you want to characterize it. It's peaceful. So anything I say after that, realize that I'm coming from a place of peace and nonviolence. That said, so Bitcoin is this decentralized technology, right? And the thing that Green Berets do is we go into a country and we build networks, and it's very decentralized, right? And we either do that to try to take down a government or to build one up. And right now what we're trying to do with Bitcoin is we're trying to take down the traditional financial system that is propped up and supported by the government. So in a nutshell, to me, what Bitcoin Veterans is, and we have a whole bunch of very decentralized missions to accomplish this, and we'll get into that. But basically, the way I look at it is we are building a network to take down the traditional financial government system in a peaceful way, in a non-violent way, just by fixing all the things that are wrong with it. And so I look at it very much from like, we are starting a revolution. And I think Bitcoin Veterans we have the experience. We're not afraid to go. Most of us have been to places where we've been shot at, and that's not really a threat here unless we say something stupid on YouTube. Looking at you, Shane. But no, that's not really a threat. So it's like, yeah, we could go. We're not afraid to stand up to the Leviathan, right? And we know ways that it's weak and how to bring it down. And for me, that's what the mission is, and that's why I'm here working with these guys and the army of people we have behind us working on stuff nonstop. Is that level-headed enough?
That was pretty good. All right. I'll tell you why I'm here, and then we'll go with Shane. Then Shane can tell you a little bit about all the initiatives that have been started, not just by us here on stage. By the way, I will say that, I'm not here to claim that we speak for all veterans. I don't think any of these guys are. We're here speaking for ourselves, why we're doing this thing, and we're encouraging other veterans and other active duty people to get involved with this, right? and we'll go through all the things that are happening. It's accelerated very quickly. I want to shout out and acknowledge all the veterans, the Bitcoin veterans that are here. You guys are here representing.
Show of fists. Show of fists if you're a veteran.
Love you guys.
Yes.
Look at that. Appreciate you all. Okay, I'm here because, well, let me say, I was the guy that joined the military because I was a patriot. I believed in this country. When I took that oath of service, I took that shit seriously. And I still do today. So, love this country. Again, agree with Jordan. This is like it's a non-violent thing. Bitcoin is incredibly powerful. Bitcoin is the first tool that you've ever seen, the human race has ever seen as an individual, that you can resist the power of a sovereign nation. You can own property and it cannot be taken from you without your permission and without your basically cooperating with that. That's incredibly powerful. And you're protected by over 400 exahash of computing power. It is the most powerful computing network that the human race has ever seen. If you add all the supercomputers in the world together, you would probably still have to X1000 that to even scratch the surface of the computing power protecting Bitcoin. It's a very powerful tool. So I joined the military again because I'm a patriot. Went overseas, did a bunch of stuff. I did that because I love this country and I love freedom. It's the most important thing to me. I'm a freedom maxi. I'm also a Bitcoin maxi, but I'm a freedom maxi first. I want my kids to know a life where they're free. So, all this shit that these lizards are doing to take that freedom away, I'm not down. I know there's a lot of veterans in here who feel the same way. It's a really crappy thing when if you come. I know there's a lot of guys who join for different reasons, but I also know there's a lot of people who join because of the reasons I did. When you find out that you're overseas doing stuff in the nation's name to other people, and you come back and it's all about lizard nonsense, that is not cool. So there's a new mission. Shane, why are you here? Why are you doing this thing?
Amazing segue. Ladies and gents, I'm Shane, by the way. I'm going to tell you a little story because I think for what we're doing, not working? Yeah, I thought we were pretty close. Oh, that's way better, isn't it? Jeez, oh Pete. I can almost whisper now, save my voice. The reason a lot of us, and I don't speak for everybody, but there is this underlying current in a lot of people, a lot of men especially, right? There's this masculinity that I think that has been a lot of times bastardized here in the States. There's something that yearns for us to protect, to make peace, to create the most favorable conditions in our lives for the people that we love. And there's no more powerful feeling, propellant on earth than love. When you understand that, and you start to understand the hearts of men that want to serve their fellow human beings to keep them safe, then you start to understand the heart of a veteran, the heart of somebody who's in service. The problem with what's going on, especially here in America, that started in Prussia in the 1700s, is you get into indoctrination. Like many of you, at 5 years old, I was taken into an indoctrination program called school, right? It does a very important thing. It takes that love that's in a lot of us and it perverts it, it twists it. And as soon as you get to the point where there's an event, like 9/11 in my case. I was about to enter my senior year of college, and 9/11 happened, and within a month, I was in the Marine Corps. I did extremely well. Fast forward, got into special operations. Before I knew it, I was in a deployment to Iraq, taking down, the quote unquote, Saddam Hussein, the worst guy in the Middle East. And I thought, hey, we've done this in record time. He's gone. Great success. Let's go home. Fast forward to a year later when I was on my second deployment. The second deployment was a little bit longer, a little bit weirder. I started to see what we were doing on the front lines of the intelligence gathering type of organizations that we were get manipulated by our commanding officers and then get even more propagandized by the press. And I was thinking, oh my gosh, this is what happens to real intelligence. This is obviously wrong for one thing, but it's misconstruing what we thought we were doing over here to fit an agenda back in DC. Fiat culture, right? This is fiat, peak fiat. So as I'm coming off the battlefield in 2004 of Fallujah, one of my buddies put a book on my desk, or on my bunk, and it was called The Underground History of American Education by a guy named John Taylor Gatto. And I read it. And what I read in there hit me in the face like a ton of bricks. The Prussians back in the 1700s tried to put together a government that would indoctrinate their children, their populace, so that they could steer them into different industries at the will of the government, at the will of fiat. And then if they needed to go conquer lands and spill blood, you had a very willing populace go do that overseas. As I'm sitting on my rack in Iraq, this thing hit me like a tidal wave with 5 months left on that deployment. And I was thinking, oh my God, they got me. From then on, I was trying to find zero. I was trying to find what the truth was, and went in, learned the Constitution cold, found Ron Paul, found Austrian economics. The Constitution wasn't good enough, so I had to go read the Anti-Federalists, which, if you haven't, are amazing guys that said centralization of power is always going to lead to really terrible things, right, in terms of decentralization. And we obviously know that in terms of Bitcoin. And so as I'm discovering all of this, I get into politics, run for a few offices, and I figure out real fast, you can't win a fiat game if you're playing the fiat game. It's the whole Buckminster Fuller quote. If you want to change the world, you're going to have to build a new system that makes the old system obsolete. And lo and behold, as an Austrian, I was primed for Bitcoin. I found Bitcoin. And what I found along with it, especially when you are in person with Bitcoin, you find consent, you find love, you find peace, you find people who are uplifting other people that share one mission. And that's that mission of the veterans, to protect, to create, to make something that is bigger than yourself, to create a legacy of peace. There is no higher calling than what we're doing here, and veterans especially are primed to be able to take this into their heart and say, look, I don't need to be nihilistic. Whatever we're doing in America in these fiat games doesn't have to end in more bloodshed. We can do this in a very peaceful way, like Jordan was saying, this peaceful, weapon of revolution. This is the calling. So when Alex always famously says, get on the mission is love, it's consent, it's peace, it's everything that they all thought they were doing that got corrupted and perverted, now come to fruition, and something that is stateless, decentralized, and organic. And that is the most beautiful thing that I've ever been a part of, and maybe the most humbling thing I've ever been a part of. So that's why I'm here.
Hell yeah, let's go.
I get goosebumps every time we talk. I fucking love it. You guys
I
are
love
awesome.
you too, man. Maybe it's not just the whiskey either.
Love you too, Jordan.
Do you want to hit up what these guys are doing?
We will, in one moment. So ever since we started this thing, right, a whole bunch of guys have gotten involved. We're not the only ones. This is the tip of the iceberg right here. There's a bunch of dudes that are doing some stuff. These are very action-oriented individuals, and it has spun up an amazing movement. So let's talk about that a little bit. These are some of the initiatives that have been started. Some of these people are here in this room right now. Some of the initiatives that have started, and there are more starting every week.
Shall we cover them? Yeah, let's.
Yeah, I think we should.
Well, also, so before he goes over this, when did we start this?
Well,
Y'all have been talking about it for a little while, but
Yeah.
when?
3 months?
I think it's been 3 months. That,
4 months.
And
something
in
like
that time, everything that Shane's about to go over is what
In
has-
15 weeks, gentlemen, this would have been week 16 for the show. Since then, Operation Bitcoin, who Gabe is leading the charge. Operation Bitcoin. You know what? Let's let Gabe tell you about Operation Bitcoin real quick.
All right, let's go. Operation Bitcoin has a mission to introduce Bitcoin to veterans, to educate them, to equip them with the knowledge that they need to engage and transact with Bitcoin, and also to further the mission of bringing more veterans into the Bitcoin mission. That's the nutshell of it. So we have, we're pending 501c3. We're basing our curriculum, the foundation of it is in the Me Premier Bitcoin curriculum. If you haven't seen that, take a look at it. It's awesome. It's all open source. They're doing amazing things. Been working very closely with John over there to get things set up. My buddy Wade also, he's the man. I'm not going to point you out too much, man. You look like you're good to go how you are. But yeah, Me Premier, that's going to be the foundation of it. So it's going to be in-person facilitation, training courses resulting in a certificate. And then also, like I said, bringing them into the ranks and getting them plugged in. Because we have discovered that when you get a group of veterans together, you're going to get shit done. Okay? Because we have people just stepping up and saying, hey, I can do this. I got this covered. Hey, check this out. Look what I did. Not only, hey, I can take care of this. I might be able to take this on, but it's like, hey, look at what I've been working on for the past couple of weeks, and then show it to everybody else. And we're all freaking blown away at the level of talent that we have that is stepping up. Now, it's not surprising, okay? There are over 600 different jobs, MOSs, in the U.S. military right now. And so we've got on an average of 200,000 service members that are leaving the military every year and stepping into the civilian workforce. And they're bringing all these skills and all these talents and all this energy looking for something to get plugged into. And
I
this
will
is it.
add, a lot of them are a little ticked off.
Many of us.
And
There's
it creates fuel for the fire.
they're not only stepping up and ready to engage, but they're stepping up with a furious anger to engage in a mission that is going to, how should I say this? That is going to counteract some of the things that they may have been a part of in the past while serving in active duty. Is that safe?
In the most peaceful way possible.
In the most peaceful way possible. Okay, now some people come and they're pissed off and they're like, I'm really pissed off. It's like, all right, let's channel that energy and let's do something good with this, guys, because that's why we're here. Okay, we are not a destructive force. Okay, we are a constructive force. We are builders, and we are here to change things in a peaceful and positive way. And we have the right people to do the job, and they're stepping up. And I mean, it's been 15 weeks, and it's blowing up. Okay, it's become a magnet. Okay, for veterans that are they're coming to us and saying, we want to get plugged in. How do we do this, man? How do we? And we're like, hey, come on in. We haze them a little bit, maybe. That's all. You have to be a veteran. You have to be a part of the group to find out. That's all I'm going to say. All right, just deal with it. But yeah, so anyway, essentially, Operation Bitcoin, that's the idea. We're a nonprofit that is going to introduce veterans to Bitcoin and eventually move into the active duty realm so we can begin communicating with people that are currently serving and prepare them to engage in the Bitcoin mission when they get out of active duty. So we're going to backtrack and we're going to go backwards in that timeline. Eventually, the mission is to introduce Bitcoin to people in their pre-military status. When they've decided that they want to join, have them already plugged into Bitcoin. That way they can go into the military with a different perspective on their mission, with a different clarity on the decisions that they're making and the consequences behind them. And even further, they can have a more informed decision on their actual decision, their choice to join the military. Because the fact is, a lot of people join because they have no other options in life. It's a reality. And that's probably some of the people in this room, right? We had to make a decision. We had to do what was right for our family. You know, it was 3 hots and a cot. You know the deal. Okay, they're going to feed you and give you a place to sleep and give you a paycheck. But anyway, that's a different conversation, the whole recruiting side of things. But that's the idea. That's the goal, is to introduce, educate, and get them connected, and then continue the mission. And we are on Twitter, so give us a follow, okay? It's op_Bitcoin. Check it out. I do want to mention that we did receive a grant recently from Geyser Fund grants. So that was pretty cool. It was validating. We just, threw it out there and checked it out, and it worked. So the potential is there, and the momentum is there even further. So, and if anybody wants to get plugged in with it, again, everything that we're going to talk about today, all of the things that all of our different veterans are involved in, we need more people to get on the mission. So you know how to get a hold of us, and so come on in.
So I'm going to run through this list fairly quickly now. In that 15 weeks, we've had Bitcoin security or Bitcoin veteran security stand up to provide security to events like this, Bitcoin events where you actually know the people that are providing security. Sometimes going to be plainclothes, but there is a scale to this that I think a lot of people don't understand, that I think veterans have a real handle on, especially because of what this is and what this means. You've got firearms training, you've got citadel seating, you've got homesteading. I run the Brave post-traumatic stress mission for not only veterans, but people with post-traumatic stress. There is a media company. There is a media arm. There is audio and video. There's marketing. The list goes on and on and on. And it, like they said, every week somebody is all saying, hey, there's a gap in this market. And you know what the answer is? Fill it. Figure it out. This is your passion. Start recruiting. So now we're starting to branch off from there. We've got trees going, and this thing, in terms of having legs and having energy and having actors, is barely off the ground. So if you're looking for something to do, if you're a veteran, if you know a veteran, if you're in the veteran family, this is something where these guys, if they have been nihilistic, they've been kind of looking for something, some organization that gives them hope, that gives them aspiration. This is an incredible place for these guys to get plugged in and take on a new life that maybe they were meant for. So that's just to name a very small handful of what's actually happening inside of Bitcoin veterans.
Okay, I'm going to also add, by the way, that it's not like this is not a top-down kind of organization at all. The veterans that are involved in this thing, they are literally creating their own initiatives and they are driving them forward. And we don't have to ask anybody to do any of that. These are very action-oriented people. So props to all of you who are doing that, and props to those of you who want to get involved and do it yourself. Mickey, did you have something you wanted to add here?
Yeah, so as an officer, we're sort of trained in these concepts of decentralized command, right? So a lot of people think the military is like very pyramid scheme, and it's like you do this, you do this, you do this. But it's not that at all, right? And so the mission planning process is you make a plan together as a team, you brief it such that everybody understands what is happening, right? And so when everybody understands what is happening, even if you get separated, you can still pursue the intent and the mission, right? And so there's this concept in the airborne area called LGOPs, right? So little groups of paratroopers. And so when you guys jump out of a plane, he's smiling. He knows exactly what I'm talking about. When you jump out of a plane, you don't necessarily all land together in one area because there's wind and there's other stuff, right? So,
Other stuff.
Other stuff.
Lots of
Trees,
other
guns,
stuff.
bombs, tanks, whatever.
Mostly
yeah.
that damn wind, though.
Yeah. Lots of
Pilots
wind.
that can't spot a DZ from 200 miles away.
Yeah. And so basically it's just the story of veterans pursuing like disciplined initiative on their own, right? And so it's like, okay, I found Gabe. Now we can get together, we can talk, and we can do do whatever. And so it's just veterans that are used to this disciplined initiative from like decentralized efforts, right? So it's decentralized efforts pursuing the disciplined initiative to get the mission done. And so I think that's something that like a lot of people don't understand, is that the military is used to like chaos, decentralization, and pursuing individual efforts in support of a common goal, common initiative. And I think that's sort of what's happening here.
That's fine. Yeah, I think like the little networks. So like the system we're fighting back against is very like top-down driven. I make decisions and push it down to you to tell you what to do, what to think, and that isn't how I might have a plan and I think that it's great, and if you think it's great, hey, help me execute it. But if you got a better idea, you run out and you go see if your idea works. Like it's really the free market at work. the free market of ideas. Let's see what works. I'm not going to force you to do my
Jordan.
thing.
Just push that mic right up against your face.
Right up there?
Right up there.
Right in there.
Pretend it's your boyfriend.
Oh, yeah. That's what I'm talking about. But I was pretty much at the end of it, so hopefully nobody heard any of what I just said.
I like something that Shane said too. Is he mentioned love a couple times, right? So, a lot of Bitcoiners are, pretty hostile against like government policy decisions and stuff like that. But the thing about the army is that, or the military writ large, right, is that it's not held together by policy decisions. It's held together by guys that are trained, to kill and fight and die together, right? And so by going through those intense experiences where you might have practiced to fight and die and kill, or you might have actually gone overseas to fight and kill and obviously not die because you're here now, but some people do die, right? And so having coworkers that you would die with and die for is a pretty intense experience, right? And so the army is really, or the military is really held together by the love for each other, right? And I think that sort of leaves a hole in people's hearts when they leave. And it's something that Bitcoin can help, right? And so like I'm transitioning out of the military. I'll be out of the army in about 4 months.
That means he's leaving the military, to be
Yes.
precise.
Yeah, there was a really awkward pause after he said, "I'm transitioning,"
Yeah, so
which is fine.
deep down, I've always felt like a civilian trapped in a soldier's body. So going through the transition in a few months. But yeah, I think there's the veteran suicide pandemic. My wife is disappointed in that
She is
joke.
not happy right now.
You guys keep derailing me. I don't even remember what I was saying anymore.
You were talking about transition.
Yeah, so veteran suicide. So through those intense experiences, you're held together by these bonds of love and friendship through these extremely intense experiences. And a lot of guys get depressed when they leave. It's like they fucking hate being in the military and they can't stand it and they can't wait till they get out. And then they get out and they're lost.
Oh, this sucks too.
They're depressed. There's a lot of suicides, but I think Bitcoin can kind of help fill that gap because it's this really mission-oriented, like driven organization. It's back to that iron sharpens iron mentality, without the 20-mile forced road marches. So,
All right. We need to start moving towards wrapping up. Let's go with some closing comments. Just jump in there.
All right, I'll go ahead and jump in. But yeah, Mickey, building on what you were saying, there is an issue in this world with our veterans after they leave the military and what their experience is like. I mean, if you've been there, it sucks. Okay, there's no support. The VA is shit. Okay, when you get out, you're basically on your own. You got to figure it out. Okay, and you lose that community and you lose that sense of camaraderie that had become such a shaping experience in your life, and it's gone. Okay, and you come out of the military, and I mean, even if you're busted up, you still know. You don't question what your capabilities are. You know what you can do, and you know that you're a badass when you get out. And so you step out into the world and you say, okay, who's the lucky company? Who's the lucky people that are going to get me to come in here and contribute to their mission? And it doesn't always happen. I would say most of the time, it doesn't happen. And so you have these highly qualified badasses that are stepping into the world looking for a place to contribute, and that mission isn't there. And that's when you start to see them tailspin and bad things happen. Okay, the suicide rate is insane. They call it the 22 a day, but a recent study showed that it's actually closer to 40 when you include death from substance abuse, okay, or other reckless lifestyles that take longer, that's slow suicide. It's unacceptable. It's unacceptable. This is the mission that I have found that is the most impactful for any veteran to be a part of. This is it. It's like I said, there are 200,000 of us joining the civilian world every year. 200,000 of us. Imagine what happens when we can bring them onto this mission. Imagine us being able to connect them to a mission that is tied to a purpose that will give them an opportunity to fulfill the oath that they took when they enlisted in the military. Because I can tell you, when we join the military, we put our hand up in the air and we take an oath, okay? For some of us, we take it more seriously than others, but I can tell you the majority, when you're taking that oath, it's like, okay, I'm becoming a part of something, and I'm going to go out here, I'm going to do something meaningful. And for many of us, when we take off our boots and uniform for the last time, we know that we were not a part of that meaningful thing that we were seeking to be a part of. And it sucks. It sucks. This is the opportunity for us to engage in that mission that we wanted to be a part of then. This is that opportunity for us to be a part of that purpose and to seek that opportunity to fulfill our oaths that we took. And I'm not talking about an oath to the government, okay? I'm talking about an oath to something bigger than us. I'm talking about an oath to freedom. I'm talking about an oath to each other. I'm talking about an oath to the future of all of us, to our children, okay? And this is that opportunity. And that's why it speaks to veterans the way that it does. So get on the mission.
And a lot of you were wondering, okay, what can I do to get on the mission? Either you're a veteran or you're not and you just want to help out. Go to our website, bitcoinveterans.org. There's a contact sheet on there. Shoot us a message. Let us know what you want to do to help. Or if you're a veteran, we'll get you tapped in with other guys. Just reach out to us. Like, we're ready to put people to work who want to work.
Yeah, so like proof of work type stuff. If you want to get involved, like, because I started writing for Bitcoin Magazine because I found the article submission link on accident one day because I was bored, right? Submitted an article, just kind of kept going. 9 months later, I got picked up by Forbes, okay? So just start, just do anything. You want to get involved, just do anything and keep going. You know, you never know how it's going to work, right? You know, a year ago, I was listening to Alex on Cafe Bitcoin thinking, holy shit, how cool is this? He's got Greg Foss and, you know, Dr. Jeff on the same podcast. Like, I thought it was the coolest thing ever. And now Alex invites me up on a Cafe Bitcoin, like, pretty frequently. So it just start going, do anything. You never know what's going to happen. Just go for it.
Shane, anything?
Yeah, real quick. We're here for you guys. This group is not just here for veterans. This group is here for Bitcoin. So if you find yourself in need of something, if you find that we can help you with something, if you think of an idea where we can help the Bitcoin movement, please understand we are here for you. We are here for Bitcoin. We are here for love and peace. We are incredibly thankful and humbled to have the warm reception that we've had. And next year, I hope to update you guys in terms of what we've been able to accomplish in that time. The bodies that we had probably be in that room with it packed out, just jam full of success, of love, of people that have contacted this organization and changed lives. Literally taken people and said, hey, you know, this little thing called Bitcoin, a little bit of it might go a long way in the real near future. And we get a lot of people who got a lot of extra time on their hands that are decentralized, working for something, that have motivation and action behind them. Man, we are here for this and we are here for you. So thank you guys for having us. Thank you guys for inviting us out here to do this. Absolutely amazing to be a part of. You guys are a beautiful people with a beautiful culture that is spreading like wildfire all over the world. So thank you from the bottom of our heart, collectively. Thank you so much.
All right, last comment, and then we wrap. This is a challenge and a call to action. If you're active duty or you're a veteran and you have come to the conclusion that this nation is a little screwed up right now, what the hell are you going to do about it? Are you going to sit on your butt? Or are you going to get up, stand up, and answer that call? Get involved. I'll say one last thing. These guys up here are not the kind of guys that you want in the forest plotting against you. if things go sideways, these are the guys that you want on your team. Just want you all to know, we're here for you. We're on your team. Let's go, Bitcoin veterans.
And don't shitcoin, it's bad for you.
Oh, hi. Do you have your ticket to the next Pacific Bitcoin Festival? Join us as we shine a light on the best of Bitcoin and Bitcoiners. Visit pacificbitcoin.com for the best deal on tickets now.